Welcome to the Cancer Support live stream. If you have never been here before, this podcast is basically a place where cancer patients can share their cancer stories to help newly diagnosed patients get through the suck, to help find a way to embrace it. Tonight's story is pretty remarkable. A few days ago, I interviewed Lauren, and Lauren shared her story of stage 4 colon cancer. The thing about Lauren, though, she was 20 weeks pregnant when she got diagnosed. I just can't imagine going through chemotherapy and pregnancy all at the same time. It's a remarkable story, and I can't wait for you to share it with you guys. So, although we recorded this a couple days ago, I will be live in the chats. So, whatever questions and comments you have, get them in there, and I'll be active on it all night long. After we're done watching Lauren's story, I'll come back on live and we'll talk a little bit more. See you at the end. So Lauren, I've been following you on Facebook for a little while now. I'm so glad that once I reached out to you, that you reached back and said you were interested in being on the podcast. Let's tell our viewers about you. Like, where are you from? What do you do for a living? Do you have kids? Married? All that fun stuff.
Okay. Yes, I appreciate you reaching out. I pretty much put my whole life on Facebook now because, stage 4 cancer, you just don't have anything to hide anymore. So I'm originally from Arkansas. I've lived many places: Northwest Indiana, Alabama, Florida, Nashville, Tennessee, Indy, back to Nashville, and now I'm in Southwest Indiana. I moved here for my kids so that they could be around both of us at the same time because I am divorced. Been divorced since 2021 officially. And so for 16 years I've worked in auto insurance. I got my degree in Florida for social work because I have a passion for people, and then I just put my resume out everywhere, and the only people that called were the insurance people, and I went and interviewed, and they're like, "Do you even know what this job is?" And I said, "No, but can I please do it? I need money." And they took a chance on me. I worked there 16 years in a lot of different offices. I went remote with them in 2019. And then in 2024,
what kind of insurance is it? Did you say it was auto
auto
insurance?
insurance.
All right.
So I
Because
was like a claims manager.
I have a love-hate relationship with my medical insurance, right?
I could never work for medical
I know.
insurance. Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not passionate about auto insurance either, but I fell into it. It's just corporate America,
sure.
basically.
Yep.
And when I got diagnosed December 19th, 2024, I still worked. I took disability, but I still worked through summer 2025. And then 2026, it went to stage 4. And I tried to go back for like half a week at the end of June. And I had zero energy to do anything at the house. Just some scary stuff because my older 2 sons are autistic. I have 3 boys. One, the oldest, 9, profoundly autistic, nonverbal. 7, moderately verbal, level 2 instead of level 3 autism. And then I have a 16-month-old baby.
Wow.
And it just killed me that half a week. And I just realized, you know what? The universe is saying, you're not doing your insurance job anymore. Like,
Yep.
yeah, it's going to be hard going into long-term disability because I'm the only provider for my children, but we're going to make it work because I have to take care of my health first and their health too.
Yeah, absolutely. Lauren, what kind of cancer did you get diagnosed with back in 2024?
So I was 20 weeks pregnant when they found the cancer, which is extremely rare to have cancer during pregnancy. It was rectal bleeding is what the sign was. It started when I was 14 weeks. They pushed me off. GI said, go take baths at home. And my OBGYN was so mad that they thought it was hemorrhoid. She said, you go in there with pictures of what's happening and you put it in their face and you don't leave. And I said, yes, ma'am. And so at 20 weeks is when I got back in there, and they didn't want to do anything. They wanted to send me home for 3 more weeks. And I basically refused. I said, I am not leaving this office until you address my profound rectal bleeding. That's like, it was like 8 to 10 times a day. Like I was having major blood loss and pregnant, but they didn't want to touch a pregnant lady. And it's like the middle of nowhere here. And I just refused. And then finally the office manager came in and said, okay, fine, go across the street to the hospital and the lead GI will scope you. And he did a flex sig, which is like a mini colonoscopy where you can be like awake. And the nurse held my hand because I couldn't have any anesthesia in the OR. It was very scary. And I should have known when he asked for something to take a biopsy. but I didn't put 2 and 2 together. I went back to my room. 5 minutes later, he comes in and sits on my bed and has his nurse hold my hand and say, it's cancer. And I didn't know rectal bleeding could mean cancer, or I would have been crazy weeks before getting in there. I wasn't Googling it because everybody says, don't Google. Well, I'm going to tell you, Google every freaking thing
Me
and
too.
chat
Yep.
GPT it
Yep.
and ask and put it on any place you can to find it. I'm not one that says, don't Google it. You'll get scared. I wish I had Googled it. And so it was level 3 colorectal cancer. They call it like rectal adenocarcinoma officially. It was like very, very low. And so I started chemo. I did 6 rounds with the baby, 2 rounds after delivery. He came out healthy, thank goodness.
Lauren, I don't know anybody who's gone through chemo while they were pregnant. Like, is that safe for the baby?
Well, it's extremely rare. And no, it's basically poison.
Right.
However, we would have both died if I didn't do treatment because I was so obstructed from the tumor that my colon was almost completely obstructed. Like there was only liquid coming through. So I was millimeters away from obstruction. And if we didn't fix that immediately, I would have had to have an emergency ostomy, which the baby probably wouldn't have survived because it's such an intense surgery. And the uterus is so close to the rectal site, they wouldn't have been able to monitor him during the surgery. So he would just be on his own and he probably wouldn't have made it. And I may or may not have made it. So when it's like, that's what everybody says. I didn't realize you can have chemo while pregnant. Well, you shouldn't. But
What
if
choice
it's
do you
life or
have?
death,
Right? Yeah. Yep.
if it's life or death, that's the only choice. And like, people want to talk about holistic things and I'm totally down for holistic things. But at that point in my life, if I didn't have immediate chemo, I had literally days before a full obstruction. And he was 20, 21 weeks. They're only viable outside of the womb, maybe 22, 23 weeks. We were very close, but like significant developmental issues, NICU stays you're talking about. So I tried to treat in Evansville. I met with the surgeon. I met with the high-risk OB, and they're like, it's okay. Calm down. You're going to have chemo. You're going to be okay. I said, all right. So December 30th, I met with the oncologist in Evansville, and she said, I refuse to treat you. You're pregnant. You're asking me to deliver poison to you and your baby. Just because this surgeon won't cut into you doesn't mean another surgeon won't. You need to pick Indy or Nashville. And I was like, what? Why did the other doctors be so confident? And she said, well, because they don't give chemo every day and they don't see all the people that die. I'm like, okay, way to freak me out.
Yep.
Way to freak me completely out. So I chose Nashville because I lived there before. I lived in both, but I like Nashville better. I lived there the longest, like 10 years. And they wouldn't get me in until like January 7th because that was the office days for the surgeon and oncologist. And I said, listen, I don't think I have until January 7th. I told the schedule, I said, do you want to talk to my kids and tell them why mom died because you're not going to be in? And she's like, listen, if it's this bad, go through the ER. So I made it until January 4th, very bad pains. And I said, now's the time. So I went in through the emergency room. At that time, I had my partner and he drove me, and the older kids stayed with their dad. And went in through the emergency room. Scores of doctors, just surgeon, oncology, high-risk OB, NICU, cardiology, like they were going crazy with me. Put me through a CT scan, said you barely have any room left. There's a lot of like stool impacted, backed up. Like we're going to start chemo immediately. And there is a risk that it will cause edema, like enlarge the tumor before it shrinks. And they said, listen, if it does, you have to go into emergency surgery, or you can just pick to go into surgery now. And I'm like, I'm not picking to go into a surgery that my child might not survive. We're going to try it. You're going to monitor me closely, and we're going to hope it shrinks. So I stayed for 7 days in the hospital for them to monitor it. Like it took the surgeon like 3 or 4 days to come see me because of all of her stuff. And Vanderbilt's a teaching hospital, so like they come in droves, all their residents, all their fellows, whatever. So the night that she came in, I swear she was like this angel. Like she floated in with all of her flock, and she was just like holding my hand, and she's like, I'm here. It's okay. And I'm just like, I've been waiting for you for so long. But We ended up not doing surgery until late in the year. We did the chemo and it did shrink and
So
bad side
you
effects.
started the chemo in the actual hospital.
Yes, because of the risk of swelling, which would
Sure.
cause immediate
Yep.
surgery, they didn't wanna release me. So they started January 7th. It took some days to get everything aligned, but I was in the hospital the whole time. They started January 7th at, like, 11 PM, because in the hospital, time doesn't matter. They'll start your
Right.
chemo anytime.
Yep.
And the nurse wheeled in the chemo. I didn't even know what chemo was. I hadn't even Googled it. I didn't know if it was, like, something that went into my arm or what. They put a pick first
Okay.
before the port because they're
Yep.
like, "We don't have time to do your port." They put a pick, and, I was crying, and I didn't know what to expect. Like, am I immediately gonna feel weird or what's gonna happen? She connected the chemo to my pick, and she said, "I had another pregnant mom, and she has her toddler now, and she's okay." She very well might have been lying about that, but I really appreciated her saying it because I'm like, "Okay, there's hope here." She held my hand, the chemo started. You don't feel anything initially,
No. But
usually, not
I was the same
me.
way though. Like I had no idea what was gonna happen. Like we were just gonna
Yeah.
do it and see what happens. Yep.
Like,
Well,
is it like lightning? Like, is something gonna, like, happen suddenly and I'm gonna I didn't know. So, they administered it. It was FOLFOX.
oh,
Well, it was the FOLFOX, so the 5-FU and oxaliplatin.
yep.
They did the oxaliplatin 2 hours, and then the and then the 5-FU is like a 46-hour, so they disconnected on Friday, and I wanna say they let me go home on, like, Sunday or something because they were assured that it was indeed shrinking and not swelling.
They knew that how? Like did they go ahead and do another CT scan or something? Or
I
they
think
just thought it
so.
was working?
Well, and I was having, like, more output, I think.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if
Well
they did
yeah.
another CT, but I think they well, and the hardest part is they wouldn't let me eat or drink for, like, 3 days before they started chemo, and as a pregnant woman, you get really mad if you can't eat or drink, and my high risk OB would be like, "Wait, they're not letting you have anything?" And I'm like, "No, just IV fluid." They're like, "We're not happy with that." And I'm like, I'm more unhappy than you're unhappy, I promise you. Like, when they started the chemo and they released me to eat, I called down to the cafeteria and I said, "I need you to bring me 3 oatmeals immediately." And they said, "We're between breakfast and lunch, we can't." I said, "Listen here, I am a 22-week pregnant mom, and I haven't eaten in 3 days because I'm starting chemo. I need this right now." And they brought it up. She's like, "I'll talk to the manager. I'll get it. I'll get it. I'm coming."
That's
Which I could
awesome.
only eat, like, 1, but
Right.
still. I was just so famished. I was like, "I need 3."
How were the side effects for FOLFOX for you?
For
What did you deal with?
FOLFOX,
Yeah.
yeah, so it was like every round was an unknown mystery. I had crazy side effects, like which I went back every 2 weeks to do my FOLFOX at Nashville, so I was going back and forth because obviously Evansville wouldn't treat me, and, one round I started having contractions. They said it was dehydration. They had to cut the chemo early. I went into the OBGYN floor. One time I had very elevated heart rate, shortness of breath. They put me onto the cardiology floor for a couple days for monitoring like an EKG. That was funny because I was on chemo. Well, this was the OBGYN floor. I was on chemo. I was on the OBGYN floor and we get to discharge like 2 days later, and the doctor is sitting there and she's like, "When's your next chemo?" I said, "I'm on chemo. I'm hooked up." She said, "What do you mean you're hooked up?" And I said, "You see this bag running through this line? This is chemo." Like, I don't know that she just didn't ever know about chemo or didn't read my chart or what. I'm like, "I'm literally on chemo now. I need disconnected before I leave." And they wouldn't send up an infusion nurse. And she said, "We'll just take it off of you." She literally cut the line.
What?
And I'm like, "That's not how you're supposed to do it. You just probably ruined that machine." And they didn't even flush with heparin or saline or anything. And I'm like, "Y'all are crazy." Like, you could call and wait for an infusion nurse, but they're like, "No, we're just going to cut it off you." I'm like, insane,
And
insane.
that was at the Nashville hospital.
Yeah, that was like an OBGYN at Vanderbilt Hospital. The lead OBGYN on the floor said that. Like, doctors just don't know a lot about cancer treatment if they're not associated with
She
oncology.
should probably Google
Um,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's It's weird. So yeah, some nausea, but that's to be expected with pregnancy too. Um, cold sensitivity from the 5FU. It would start on infusion, but I usually only had it during infusion in the week and the day after. I would wear gloves, but I never did any what do they call, like icing, I guess, where you use ice to prevent cold sensitivity. You use and chemo brain, I'm forgetting the exact terminology for it, but you use ice on your hands and feet to prevent cold sensitivity continuing. But I didn't do it because mine only lasted a couple days and I would wear gloves and it wasn't that bad. But I got very bad neuropathy in
Yeah.
my feet, which lasted until the fall at least. And no, and a lot of doctors wouldn't take me seriously, because I never lost my hair on FOLFOX. I got ready every day. I looked decent. They kind of would like be like, "Oh, you're fine." And I'm like, "I'm not fine." Like I would tell every doctor I met with how bad the neuropathy was. Nobody would do anything. Finally, when I was going through radiation here in town, a rotating doctor from Louisville came and I told him, I said, nobody will take me serious about this neuropathy. And it's so bad. It hurts from the moment I put my feet on the floor until bed. And I'm already having to do so much. And he's like, I'll take you seriously. And he prescribed Lyrica, which I think did help minimally. He's like, if you were in Louisville, I would have you set up with so much therapy, like, manipulation to your extremities. But there's nothing here in your small town. The best I can do is just give you this med. And at least it helps something. But getting doctors to take you seriously sometimes is just so hard
Which
if you're not 9 pounds and bald.
that's so surprising because like that's a general, everybody has neuropathy when they go through FOLFOX. Like it's a common side
Yeah,
effect. Like that
yeah.
should be the number one thing they're talking about for sure.
It was just weird. Just no doctor wanted to. I was taught about the neuropathy, but I don't think in that part of my cancer journey I was as good at advocating as I am now. So like I didn't realize the
You,
more
you
I
say
pushed, the
that, but
more
then
I
I heard I need my oatmeal right now.
well,
Sound like you were pretty good at some
in
of that.
some things I was really good, and in some minor things, I would just kind of be like, "Well, there's nothing I can do."
Right.
But there's always something you can do. You can research more online, ask ChatGPT how to say it. I know some people don't wanna use it, but for cancer people, there's so much. You can put everything in ChatGPT, and it can tell you all these questions to ask your doctor. I would come into every appointment with at least 10 to 12 questions on my phone, taking notes from things I had thought of over the 2 weeks or things I had seen online. Like I joined Colon Town. It's the biggest online group for colorectal cancer. They're amazing. They told me so many things.
Colon
And I would
Town,
just
is that what you
like,
said?
yeah,
Colon Town?
colon, COLONTOWN. They
Okay.
used to be on Facebook, but they've changed the platform to just like on the internet. They know like everything. It's like, I think 12,000 plus people across the country that have had specifically colorectal cancer. And they can just tell you so much. And I ended up because kind of circle back to your question, it is extremely rare to have cancer during pregnancy. Each oncologist only has potentially 1 to 2 pregnant women throughout their entire career. I was the second one for my oncologist in Vanderbilt, who was very high up on many boards, on many experimental boards. I was only her second. And through some research online, I found a doctor out of New Jersey who specializes in only women with cancer while pregnant. And she's only had 400 cases in her entire career of women, but she does all the research. Like she consulted on my case. So she would tell me stuff, read my records to tell my oncologist to do. Like I had to do different pre meds because I was pregnant. My oncologist didn't know that. Like
Right.
just all these small things. And I was so grateful to her. And I found a cancer during pregnancy Facebook group. Only 900 people, like in the entire world, were on it. So hugely rare. And really, so much of advocating just comes down to how much you're willing to read and ask questions and research.
How did you find that doctor in New Jersey? Just from that Colon Town or just Google?
I don't even know. Like last year was such a blur. I was just surviving and I was doing things, but there's so many things I don't remember because, I was second and third trimester when I was going through all this chemo and then delivering the baby and having two other special needs kids. And I couldn't even tell you how I found I just think I was exhaustively researching stuff online, and I would just find stuff randomly.
You touched on something that kind of hits it close to home. Like I've been through a lot over the last 6 years in my journey. I've got
Mhm.
thousands of notes. Like I'm a spreadsheet guy. I've got thousands of notes. I've got thick, really freaking thick binders full of notes.
Yeah.
But I forget because I forget like exactly like what even happened to me. Like I remember like doing one of these live streams. I was
Mhm.
talking about like a lung surgery that I had on the left side of my lung. I'm like afterwards, I'm
Mhm.
like, no, there's nothing wrong with my left side. It's my right side. Like it just
Mhm.
it's a blur. It's all a blur. It's all a blur for sure.
It is. And chemo brain is so real. It's basically forgetfulness, but it's odd. Like, it's different than, because people are like, oh, I'm getting older, I'm forgetting stuff too. And I'm like, it's different. It's so all consuming kind of this chemo brain. And, you know, before I would walk into a room and forget what I was doing, but now it's like I'm holding something and I'm forgetting what I'm doing. Like it's just weird. And it's almost like it's short-term memory loss for me. I have long-term memory loss, which I think is pretty common. Or it's short-term memory loss that I'm having. I still have my long-term memory. But I will know a person for years and I can't think of their name. I have to look it up. I can't think of their name. I was listening to music the other day, an artist I've been to several of his concerts, could not think of his name, could not, had to look it up. So it's almost like getting into like dementia area, but
Yeah.
the difference is you know how to look it up. Like you know that it's there somewhere and how to find it, but my brain just can't even think of this stuff. And that's why I forget a lot from what happened too. Yeah, I take a lot of notes,
I'm so
go back and
thankful
read.
whenever we go out to like parties and out socializing. So thankful for my wife because like I'll be walking through a crowd. I'm like, hey, this guy looks familiar. Who is he? And like she'll spark the memory back. Because otherwise, yeah, I'll completely forget who they are. Even though I've talked to them 1,000 times, cannot think of
Really,
their names. Yep, it's weird.
it is so weird.
So
And I
let's
think it's long lasting too. Like I think
yeah.
it just continues.
So let's go back. So you had your chemotherapy in the hospital. So like, how many rounds of
Mhm.
chemotherapy did you go through back then with the FOLFOX?
So the one in the hospital, and then I did 5 more rounds before the baby came, coming back to Vanderbilt. They would do I would stack all the appointments. So I would do all day, like high risk OB, oncology, well, labs first, all the stacking appointments. And then they would do my infusion, 2 hours of the oxaliplatin, hook me up to 5FU. I would go home. They would give me a disconnect kit, which I'm very uncomfortable doing anything nurse related. So my partner at the time would do my disconnect, like flush the heparin, flush the saline, whichever order you're supposed to do that in, like disconnect the line. And I'm like, this is crazy. Why do you let people do this? Because this is at the time I got a port after the first 2 rounds. I got a port place, which was crazy because I had to do it in the OR again, unsedated because I was pregnant, and they let me pick the music at least. That was something. But
Yeah.
the surgeon wasn't like used to people being pregnant, or being pregnant and unsedated, I guess, in the OR. And it was so funny. He was like talking to his resident about his workout while he was placing my port. And at the end, he just walks out. He doesn't even say bye because he's used to everybody being asleep. And I was not. But so yeah, I got my port in February, finished my total 6 rounds before the baby, took a 4-week break because you have to have a break before delivery. So some of it is mostly out of your system. Even though he was getting it the same as I was going
Yeah.
through his body.
Right.
So, delivered on tax day, April 15th. They scheduled me for April 14th, even though I asked for the 15th. And I said, well, still got what I wanted. Haha. But it was a very intense delivery just because of my chemo stuff. They very much pushed for a C-section. But the thing is, on chemo, if you have a C-section, a major surgery, you're not going to heal for a long time
Oh, right.
because it's going to delay you. And so I was like, no, absolutely not. I'm having a natural, like, well, medicated, but natural birth. And I fought them. I fought them. They had to take me into the OR because they said he was slightly turned, which I did. It's called spinningbabies.com. If your baby's slightly turned, you can like go there and it tells you techniques. Like I spent a lot of the afternoon over a couch on my head on the floor to get him to spin. And he spun most of the way, just a quarter turn. So they took me to the OR, did the quarter turn, told me It might be cord prolapse because the cord might come out because of the turn, and then we're going to do emergency surgery. And I was like, fine, take me to the OR. Like, I'm not going to let you cut me until it's urgent. Like, no other way. They took me into the OR. I was big into my playlist at the time. I played Purple Rain, and the surgeon was like, or the OB was like, we've never had anybody play Purple Rain. And I'm like, that's what I'm doing to get through it. And she turned him, the cord didn't come out, delivered normally. And that's the thing, like so much of my journey, they just want to like be proactive, like, let's just do it. And I'm like, no, we're going to try. We're going to try and see. And it worked. And then so I did my 7th and 8th round at 2 and 4 weeks postpartum, which was a trip. Like, postpartum is already insane, and to have chemo is just unfathomable.
So are you
Driving two
talking about
hours.
mental issues or are you talking about physical issues? Or maybe
More
both?
mental, I think,
Mental.
just mentally wrapping myself around out of the house at 2 weeks. Like with my older boys, I didn't leave the house for like months. I was like, I was like in the house, but
Oh
I had to
man.
go at 2 weeks and get my 7th round. They were going to deny me to take the baby into my oncology room. They have little rooms. They're like, no, you can't take the baby. And I'm like, I'm not leaving my 2-week-old. I am not. And they called in the manager and they said, well, it could be dangerous because it could, like, he's in the room. I said, ma'am, he was in my stomach getting 6 rounds. So I think him being in the room is okay.
Yep.
It doesn't jump the lines. It's not getting on anybody else in the room. So we're going to have the baby in the room. And they refused. And I messaged my oncologist who was high up and she said, don't worry. She called him. She messaged me 10 minutes later. He can go. I'm like, you just
Awesome.
have to get the right person. And he didn't make a peep. They're like, if he cries, you have to have somebody take him. I'm like, fine. But he didn't make a peep. So I finished those rounds. I was done with FOLFOX, 4 weeks postpartum. Then I had to do 33 rounds of radiation, which I was going to do in Nashville, but it did not work out. And I ended up doing it locally here. Very hesitant because it's such a small town. But when I met with a radiation oncologist here, he's actually from Denver. He piloted this system. It's some kind of big, fancy radiation, super good system. I trusted him. So I had to go Monday through Friday, 33 rounds. And then we had hoped it was gone, but I
So,
went
hey,
back to
Lauren, can I
Vanderbilt.
interrupt you? There's a couple things that
Yeah,
you
yeah,
talked about before we get into the
yeah,
radiation stuff.
yes,
I don't know why, like I'm even bringing this up, but you talked about
yeah.
like your partner at the time had to do the disconnect for your out of your port.
Mhm.
I can't believe I'm going to admit this like live because I know like my treating nurses say this or they watch this show. I've disconnected myself so many times over the
Do
years,
you?
so many times. And there
Oh,
is something to that, like that is so empowering. Like you're not backing down from cancer. Like you're not scared of nothing. Like look at me, I'll
yeah.
just yank this thing out of my chest. Like
Mhm.
I wish you would have tried at least once. It was
Well,
wild.
I did one time. I want to say it was the 4 week postpartum because unfortunately I had to end the relationship at 3 weeks postpartum, which is insane. Nobody should do anything, but it was getting to be a very big strain in the relationship, and I had to do what I had to do. But I think at the 4 week one was when I did it. I did disconnect myself, and I hated every second of it
Yeah.
because I just don't like nurse stuff. I did do it, but
I was in,
kudos to you for all the time you've done
Well,
it.
I was in a spot like once where I had to do it, and so my wife is a nurse, so normally she's my
Yeah,
disconnecting nurse,
yeah,
but she had to go out of town for something, and for whatever reason we couldn't like move around the schedule. So I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna do it, and I was nervous as all get out, but
oh,
once I got it done, I'm like, no, that was freaking wild. I had
yeah.
something else I wanted to bring up, and I have no idea what it was now.
Chemo
Chemo
brain.
brain, right?
Well, and the infusion place here, sometimes I get mad at them because of scheduling issues, and I say, "Fine, I'm just gonna go home and disconnect. I have a kit." They laugh thinking I'm joking. I'm like, "No, I will go home and disconnect if you don't get me in."
So in my area,
Because
like they don't allow that. They don't give you anything. It's either home nursing usually has to come out to your house to do it.
mm,
So like they don't let spouses do
have
that.
Vanderbilt gave me the whole kit, the
Yeah.
rubber gloves, the heparin saline, they gave me everything, all the instructions. And I went back to Vanderbilt several times, or I stayed in town for the disconnect because I didn't even want my partner doing it. Like, I was so freaked out.
Right.
Like, no, a nurse is going to do this in an infusion clinic. Are you crazy? But then over time, you realize like you can actually do it yourself.
Yeah. Hey, the other thing I wanted to bring up, so you said like, they wouldn't let the baby in the room whenever you were getting treatment. So you reached out to your oncologist and they made it right. It is so
Mhm,
good or so great to like form those relationships with those people because you never know when you're going
mhm.
to need them. So like in my case, I am friends with, the receptionist. I'm friends with
Yeah,
every single nurse that's there, every single doctor that's there. I'm not
yeah,
saying like you use those people, but like at some point, like you need to like you
you
might
need them.
need them. So use or form those relationships. So important.
Definitely, and I wasn't good at that last year. I was always kind and, respectful to my doctors because I knew they called the shots, but I would get very grouchy with, like, nurses, scheduling, like, I was just I was pregnant, I was already grouchy, so I
Yeah.
was just grouchy with a lot of people just thinking I could kinda bully into what I needed, and this year, I finally realized a little bit of the art of advocating, of being kind, and it's working well. I posted a video the other day about me asking for regular chemo schedule so it's not different every week. And I asked kindly and it did work. So I'm trying to like make amends for all of the grouchiness I had last year because you do need everybody on your side.
Well, another benefit there is like I truly, when I go to get my chemo every 2 weeks, just like you do, I truly like enjoy going there because like I want to find out, how Amy's kids are doing or how Shay's kids are doing or, because we built those relationships over the years. So I don't know, it's important. I don't dread chemo. I actually look forward to it. I dread
How
the days
what do you
after
know your
chemo.
round?
What's that?
Like what round number you're on? Do you know?
I
Have you kept
stopped. I,
count?
I stopped counting. I'm
Yeah.
80 plus.
Dang.
Yeah.
I'm like close to 20, but I stopped counting in the late teens too because I just felt like for me, it was like giving power to the chemo round, like
Yes.
me identifying like, "Actually, you don't matter, chemo, like, my health matters, I don't care what number you are."
Yep.
But I will tell you, I do not like going. I do not like going to my infusion. I've started getting a lot of anxiety in the chemo chair, and I don't know where it comes from because it's the same thing I've done for, like, 20 rounds, but I'm just so anxious to leave. I'm like, I just get grouchy and I just want to go. I want to go. I want to go. And I can't go. I can walk around with my pole, but I have made friends with like there's a really sweet lady. She's a volunteer, and I've told her some of my life, and she kind of checks up on me. Hey, did you follow through with this? Did you follow through with that? Because now that I'm on long-term disability, I'm doing the things that I love. I'm starting a meditation circle in town. I'm doing meditation teacher training, which I've always wanted to do, but thought I couldn't until retirement. I'm like doing these things and it is sweet. She checks up on me, but and I can't sleep there and I don't know why. The doctor has given me, I think it's Ativan for some of the like anxiety issues there, but I'm like, I need to start meditating or something in the
Yeah.
chair because I don't like it anymore, and not that I ever liked it, but I think I was in so much trauma, I wasn't processing what was happening, and now that I'm processing it, I'm like, "I wanna leave, and I can't."
So I enjoy it there. I like talking to the people that are in the pod next to me. The part that I get weirded
Mm,
out about is whenever they ask that question, just like you did, like how many treatments have you had? So
oh,
many
yeah,
people are in there. It's their first time going through it. So hey, it's usually 12
yeah,
and done, right? So if I do this
yeah.
for 12 times, the cancer goes away. And then I'm the guy that's like, I'm 6 years in. So like I don't want to be that guy. But at
So,
the same
yeah, I
point,
get what you're saying.
yeah. All right.
Well, and
So
now I am stage 4 and lifetime chemo, so I'm right there with you.
we're definitely going to get into that before we get
Okay.
before we're done today. So last time we left off, you had to do radiation. So radiation, where
Yeah.
did you have the radiation at? Like I guess
So I
where
live in
where's
Jasper.
where's the
Yeah.
cancer at? So where's the cancer at? It's all in the colon right now, right? Or did it move?
Well, so during radiation, yes, it was all in the colon. Like chemo took care of almost all of it. They were radiating to get a tiny spot of it gone. I live in Jasper, Indiana. They did it at the cancer center here in town, which I'm very lucky is around the corner from my house. And they agreed to treat me then because I wasn't pregnant.
Yeah.
And did 33 rounds. Basically, you just like lay on a table and this machine goes around you. I never felt anything. I never had any side effects. I stomped in there in my heels every day, Monday through Friday, just wearing my crazy outfits. And they were always like, oh, here's Lauren. Look what she's wearing today. But you just lay there for like 10, 15 minutes. And they had pretty like pictures. And the whole ceiling was a night sky with twinkling stars that they had created. And it was just really cool. Hated going still. It was annoying to go every day, but I got through my 33 rounds. And then I had to go
What does
back to
that consist
Vanderbilt.
of? Like 10 or 15 minutes each time? Yeah.
Just every day, Monday through Friday, same time. Go in there, lay on that thing for 10, 15 minutes. I never felt anything. Some people do have radiation side effects. I just felt zero things in my body other than the lingering neuropathy. So,
Do you think that was caused by the
I went,
radiation, or do you think that was caused by the
that was
FOLFOX?
the 5-FU
Yeah.
lingering in my
Yeah.
body.
Yep.
And they said there was a strong chance it would take care of all the cancer. I really thought going back to Vanderbilt, I was cancer free. I was just, people say think positive. Like I was assured as sure as anything in my life that it was gone. And the no part of me, maybe like 1% of me thought maybe it's gone, but I was convinced. And I go back to Vanderbilt and she says, there's still a little spot. And if we don't cut it out, Lauren, it's going to come right back. And I cried and cried and cried because I didn't want to do a surgery. And then I found out it was 2 surgeries because I got a lower anterior resection where they cut out that part of the colon, the spot that had the spot, and then they gave me a temporary ostomy bag. And then 5 weeks later, I had to go back and have the ostomy reversed, which is a great thing to have an ostomy reversed. I'm very happy about that.
Yeah. Yep.
And then the surgeon came in and she said, "Great news after my second surgery, after everything was done, stayed in the hospital 8 days for the first surgery, 5 days for the second surgery by myself," which I actually appreciated. I'm like, I'm an empath and I take care of people. I would rather be by myself. Everyone's worried about me. I'm like, leave me alone. I watched Wicked on repeat because there's only so many movies. Like I probably watched Wicked like 40 times in the hospital. I'm like, let me be. The nurse can help me if I need help. So I had 8 days first surgery, 5 days second surgery. She comes in, the surgeon, a couple days later, she says, "You're cancer free." And I'm like, "What? You got everything?" She's like, "We don't see any cancer at all. You are cancer free." And I cried, 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 and thought it was over. Like they're like, "You're just gonna come back every 3 months, and we're just gonna make sure you stay cancer free." That was December, the end of December.
I hate that term. I don't know. I hate
Yeah,
it. I mean, know what I know now. I hate it.
it was just so odd, and I never embraced it. I would talk about it, but I would never really believe it for some reason. I couldn't believe it. And then I had a few good months. Come after December, come March though, I thought I was dying. I the only thing that they could see, like my PCP and in town and stuff, they could see I was anemic. And I'm like, man, this because I was anemic in 2025 and got iron infusions, but I was like, this anemia is I I I, I don't know that I had a thought one night. I was like, this can kill me, whatever this is, because it was so bad. Just a terrible feeling over my whole body and, my back. I thought I had pulled my back. I was having a hard time lifting the baby. I was hiring a babysitter a lot. Like, man, this is a terrible back injury that I did to myself. I don't know how. And then I went April 9th to my first 3-month follow-up at Vanderbilt, did my scans, and she came in. She said, "Well, the reason you feel bad is there's spots on your liver. It's back." I'm like, "Wait, what? The cancer's already back. How is it back?" And she said, "Well, it might have been floating around and we couldn't see it, but it is back or perhaps never left." And I cried and cried and cried. Spots on my liver. That means it's stage 4. It had gone to a different spot. I cried the whole 3-hour drive home. I got pulled over the last hour for speeding because I was just trying to get home. It was my first time getting pulled over ever in my life at 39 years old. And it was just universe, God saying, you need to talk to somebody right now. And the cop came up and I'm crying and I'm like, "I'm getting you my stuff, but can I tell you what happened today? Like I got stage 4 cancer and I have 3 kids." And he listened to me yap for 30 minutes. Just telling me, "No, I don't have anywhere to be. You go ahead." Like at the end, he's like, "Me and my wife are gonna put you on the prayer list." And his coworker officer came at the end and he's like, "You can talk to him. I'm gonna go run your stuff and just make sure it's fine." I said, "I don't have any energy to talk anymore. I can't tell him anything." He's like, "It's okay." So he ran my stuff and he's like, "You're good." He didn't give me a ticket. He's like, "Go home," And
Hey,
I
Lauren,
had
you
to,
used the cancer
yeah.
card.
I used the cancer card hard.
Yeah.
I used it hard.
I
I was
don't use it
already
very
scared.
often, but there's a time and a place, and that's the time and a place. Yep.
I used it, yeah, I would probably cried anyway because I've never gotten pulled over like that by an officer, and I
Right.
didn't know it, and I just kept telling him, "All I know is cops. I've watched cops my whole life, and I know you see all this crazy stuff." He's like, "Actually, we don't see that much crazy stuff unless people are on drugs," and I'm like, "Well, I'm sorry I've cried like this," but I made it home. We had to wait for the official radiology report, which was a whole, like, week plus. Then she messaged me on the portal and she says, "Actually, we thought it was just on your liver, so we were gonna do chemo and cut it out and heal you cure you again, but it's actually caused a compression fracture on your spine. That's why your back hurts. It's in your bones and it's in your lymph nodes above and below the diaphragm. So chemo, yes, for life, no surgery. It won't matter if we cut it out of your liver because it's in so many places."
Okay.
Which was hard, which was extremely hard. I thought she kind of alluded that because of the spread so far so fast, I might not have a lot of time. And she wouldn't put a time on it. And I said, like 6 months, a year. And she said, maybe. So I was freaked out. I went to a funeral home in town. I prepaid my services. I talked about my wishes. I bought an urn on Facebook, or not on Facebook, on Amazon. I bought an urn and little jars so each of my boys would have some of the ashes. I hired a videographer to make a video of me and the boys for them to have and to play at my service. Like, I found a hospice I wanted to go to when I got to, like, I thought I was dying, and that's what she insinuated too. So I started FOLFOX, which is a harsher chemo. I did it in town. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to Vanderbilt for all this. You have to, Vanderbilt oncologist, call in whatever my regimen is, tell these people in town, and I'm going in town. And so I did, like, I don't know how many rounds over 3 months. I went back June 29th. They did the scans. She comes in and she says, "This is amazing results." She said, "Look at the shrinkage." She showed me the shrinkage. She said, "I can't believe how well this is going." I'm like, "Really? Because I thought I was dying and now you're saying I'm not." And she's like, "You might get to no evidence of disease and then we can take weeks or breaks of chemo if it goes that well." And I'm just like, "Oh my God, I can't believe I'm going to live." It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
I was just so convinced it was towards the end, but every chemo round has been helping me. It was very hard in the beginning. I would sleep the entire weekend after disconnect. I'm talking I would sleep 40 out of 48 hours and the boys would be with their dad. Like, I couldn't, it was very hard to disconnect. But over the rounds, I've gotten better and better and better. My back doesn't hurt at all anymore because it shrunk the tumor. Um, my liver spots are doing a lot better. My lymph nodes are doing a lot better. Um, I'm having more energy, which is hugely helpful. But I've had to make the hard decision. Like, I can't do a 2-story house with a big backyard with this chemo. I can't haul things up and down the stairs like the laundry. So I'm selling my house. I'm downsizing to a 1 level.
Yeah.
Gonna sell my nice car I got last year for something more affordable. Like, number one, I have to get my expenses down because I'm on long-term disability. But number two, I physically can't do the big house anymore. I want a tiny, cozy space for us, not tiny, but reasonable, cozy space for us, 1 level, and just so much of my priorities in life have just changed.
Yeah, for sure. Lauren, how did you get through the hard times? Like, I know obviously there were definitely hard times. Like, is there anything? Do you have any secrets? Like, what did you do to kind of get through those hard times?
The hard times were so hard. I took a lot of baths because I calmed down in the bath and I would cry, cry, cry for so long, just cycling through those anxiety thoughts. Because when you first get a diagnosis, when I first got stage 3 and stage 4, it's just traumatic. I don't know that there's any secret to getting through that until you start your treatment, start realizing, like, hey, there are people stage 4 that have lived like 20 plus years and they're still going. Like, it is still possible, but that feeling of facing your own mortality, there's nothing like it. And it's not a near death experience, it's a prolonged near death experience you're living through. And I don't have any secrets for that time, but eventually, once I got a month or 2 into it, I started, talking. I kind of use, like, faith, like universe, God, love, sort. I kind of use it all interchangeable because I think we're all kind of, my opinion is we're all kind of thinking and talking to the same entity that's over all of us. And I started, having more thought, not people say, "Oh, you're so positive." I don't consider myself positive. I consider myself a realist, and I'm
Yep.
real about it. And
Yep.
some days are very bad and some days are good. And I just started, telling the universe, like, "Hey, like, show me how good life can get despite my chemo, despite my cancer. Like, I know my best days are ahead of me." I started listening to a morning meditation every morning, not beating myself up. Like, I've had anxiety for years and depression issues, and it's kind of all gone because I just stopped beating myself up about everything. I'm not, oh, I wish I would have. I wish I said this, that, the other. I look so stupid. No, no. I'm just living my life and doing my best like everyone else is. And
I want
I
to
don't,
repeat what you just said.
yeah,
You went through bouts of depression before, but like it's gotten better since your cancer diagnosis because you learned how to deal with it. Isn't that
yeah,
amazing?
it's so
Crazy.
weird because, like, my cure for the depression and anxiety was stage 4 cancer, which is insane to say. But it just gives you such perspective. Like, we literally only have today. We literally only have right now. The future doesn't exist. The past doesn't exist. It's gone. What are we doing right now? And I just got to this point where I'm like, everything I've ever wanted to do, because they talk about bucket list stuff. I'm not a big bucket list sayer, but anything I've ever wanted to do, like the meditations, that volunteer at the hospital, I was talking to her for some reason. She's like, "Why don't you do it now?" And I'm like, "I guess I could. I have so much going on, but I guess I could." And I start looking online. I found this really good group that I'm doing the training through. I'm going to hold my meditations in the community. I really have a passion for prisons. I want to get my certification and go into the prisons to help, women there, maybe virtually stuff too. And it's just like, I'm so adverse now to future talk, to anyone that says, well, when I retire or when the kids get out of school, I'm like, just stop. Just do it today. We hear all these stories about people that retire and then they die shortly after because that was the
Yeah.
entity of their life.
Yep.
You got to make your life whatever you want it right now, and say you don't have time. There's time somewhere. There's time somewhere. You're on your phone a lot. There's time somewhere if
Yep.
you really look for it. And don't let it take a stage 4 cancer diagnosis like it took me to realize it. Like, you
Amen.
can
Absolutely.
make those changes any day you want. Any day you wake up, you can be a completely different person.
I know before the show started, we were talking in the green room about you and your friends, Jess, starting a podcast, and like
Yeah.
you said, like there's no, we don't have time. We don't have time for that, but like we'll find time, or you'll find time for that. Same thing with me.
Yeah.
Like I don't have time for this, but here we are. We're doing it, right? So,
Exactly.
what about Facebook? So, like I know you've posted a lot on Facebook, a lot of videos on
Mhm.
Facebook and TikTok.
Mhm.
How long have you been doing that?
So I've, had my private page since what? College. But when I had the first surgery in November, I watched this video from some content creator and she's like, everyone has a story. Why are you not putting your story out there? And I just had this epiphany one night sitting in the hospital in scrubs because I didn't have clothes and they gave me some nurse scrubs because I wouldn't wear their gown. And I was just sitting there and I was like, you know what? Why don't I share my story with the world? What am I have to, I was embarrassed before about mental health
Yeah,
struggles. Just, I didn't want to put my life out there. That was crazy. But I'm like, so many people are going through hard stuff. I was stage 3 at the time, but so many new early onset people are getting cancer earlier and earlier in life, which is another reason I think colonoscopy age should be at 30. That's a
yep,
whole thing I have
100%.
linked. That's the whole thing I have pinned. Like, my first pin on my page is about that and how to get a colonoscopy earlier. Because you don't get them until 45, and I got mine at 37. I would never have made it.
Yep.
But, you know, I just realized I'm going to talk about any and everything I want to. And I made my page public, and I just started making videos, making posts, just a lot about the cancer, but some about life in general. Just living what my lessons I've learned or what I'm struggling with. Like, there's nothing. And even like the last week, I posted a video about my mental health, which was
I
really
watched
hard
it.
to
Yeah.
admit,
Yep.
because I went through so much with my mental health and I felt like I had to keep it hidden. And I'm like, everyone, half the country is going through mental health issues and we're just ashamed to talk about it. And I'm not going to be ashamed anymore. I'm going to tell you exactly what happened and how I got through it, how I almost didn't get through it, and how then I got through it. Like, I'm just going to talk about everything. And it feels so good to release all that stuff that's been in my mind, and the body houses things that you don't deal with too. So like just releasing all of that into the world and saying, here's what it is. And I'd love to write my memoir. I want to write my memoir, but writing is hard with everything I have going on. So
Sure.
I'm like,
Yep.
oh, I'm going to post about it. So yeah, I do most of it on Facebook. I've tried to, in my older age, tried to get into new platforms. So I'm really trying TikTok and Instagram. I don't understand it as
I
well,
don't either.
but I try. It's just so funny because the different platforms have such different vibes. Like
Right.
my post on Facebook could get 12 likes, and on Instagram or on TikTok, it's like 6,000 likes. It's like, this is weird, the difference, but it helps me a lot. It helps me to get things out of my head and just I'm advocating for everyone to talk about more stuff online because we have an online world and you're helping someone when you tell people your story.
And that's what we're doing right here, right now. Like, we're
Exactly.
absolutely helping people that are just got diagnosed with cancer. Like, we've all been through it, and look how great you can be, after years of being on these treatments and stuff. So for
Yeah.
me, when I started posting on YouTube, I had a couple reasons for that. Number one, it was a lot easier. Everybody was messaging me, "How are you doing? How all that?" Well, let me just put a post out there so everybody knows.
Yeah.
And it started out with like typing it out on Facebook, but
Yeah.
then a couple things happened. I started thinking about my grandparents. I didn't know
Yeah.
my grandparents died when I was pretty young. I didn't really know them that well,
Oh,
and with being diagnosed at my age, I thought I'm probably not going to see my grandchildren.
right.
So I wanted them to know who I was, and that's when I started posting it. And then I had a widow, someone
Yeah.
who died of colon cancer, and I remember when we were hugging, she just kept crying, saying, "I miss his voice. I miss his voice." So what a better way to get your voice out there than posting stuff on YouTube or wherever. And
Yeah.
also, like you said, like just talking about those things and getting it out, like it's good for my mentality to just get
Yeah.
all of that out there. So
Yeah.
I think it's great.
It's
I
so
think you're right.
funny.
Everybody should be doing it.
Yes, absolutely. Even if you don't have cancer, you have a story. Everyone has a
Yeah.
story.
Yep.
And I think it's so funny you talk about grandparents because they have become such a big part of my life since getting cancer that they've all passed. But my granny and grandpa, especially my granny, I've been so close to her. And I got this like painting picture in my room that is not exactly hers, but it was from her house. And I have it in my room. And just the presence that I have felt from her and my grandpa did die of colon cancer too. So the presence I have felt from both of them since starting my cancer journey has been just amazing that I really feel like we do have guides. We do have family members that have passed that are still guiding us, and I have a picture of Granny's dad downstairs. His name's Fred, and I've been thinking about Fred so much the past few weeks. I've been looking at that picture because I always ignore it, and I'm like, I wonder what Fred would say. And it's just funny because I, I just let my life go without an agenda. I have all my schedule stuff, but if I have free time, sometimes I'm like, universe, just take me where you want. And
Yep.
it took me to this place in town, this little underground cigar bar, which nobody hardly smokes there, so I wouldn't go if it was smoky. It's nice. And they have this bookshelf, and there was this book called something like the Fred Project or something. And I'm like, oh my God, that's my great grandpa. And then I started reading, and it was just about living life extraordinarily. And I made a post about this too. And I'm just like, I felt because I was open to that I found that book. It was with his name, and I felt like he was like, no, the whole goal is to live life extraordinarily. Like, even if you're doing mundane things, it can still be really cool. You can still talk to strangers. You can go read a book like I did by myself in a cigar bar. Like, before I would just be like vegging in bed and like binging shows, which is not a problem. That's
Right.
a big part of that's a big part of like your recovery and stuff. I'm not dogging it, but now that I have energy, I'm like, I had such a wonderful night getting out and reading that book about Fred and talking to my friend. And it's just so amazing. Like every day becomes like really amazing once it took me a year and a half from the diagnosis. It took me a year and a half, but I've talked to other cancer people and they talk a lot about a year and a half too. You just get to this point where you find like, this is amazing to be alive. Not everyone, obviously, but for me and the people I've talked to, like, every day is a gift. Like, I can't wait to see what I'm going to do today because where is the universe God going to lead me? Who am I going to meet? I meet so many new friends, so many new people online, have all these connections I never had before. Like, I highly recommend finding the online community if you have cancer. There's an online community somewhere for you, like Colon Town is for me, but they are just the kindest, nicest people. I've never had a bad interaction on Colon Town. I've met really good friends I message daily now, and
Yep.
it's about community. Cancer or no cancer, life is about community.
There's a lot of people that say like how good we're doing with this show here, and I'll be honest,
Yeah.
I'm being selfish. Like I get more out of this than probably what most people do. Like, meeting
Mhm.
people like you, knowing your stories. Hey, it's
Mhm.
unbelievable. Like the last three episodes, the last three episodes, people have talked about people that have already passed, and they feel like they're there with you, like going
Yeah.
through that battle. Like that's
Yeah.
definitely a reoccurring thing for sure. I'm hearing it all the time. It's amazing.
It must just be our prolonged near-death experience. We're closer to the spiritual side, maybe.
Maybe.
I mean, I know plenty of people without cancer that are, into all that stuff, but just something about it. Like I've grown so close to these grandparents and great grandparents that have passed. It's like maybe it's just I've had these experiences and I'm more open to listening to what they may say, but it's so great
Yeah.
because you don't feel like you're alone. You feel like this is my family and they're guiding me from beyond and they're going to make everything like I always say, like, all is well. Like, even if things are not working out for me, they're working out for me. Like, right now, I'm really anxious because I have to get an offer on my house by August 31st or I lose the house that
Oh,
I put an offer on, and I love the house and I feel like I've been confirmed it's my house. And I just have to say, you know what? If I don't get an offer by the 31st, I'm not supposed to go to that house. I'm supposed to go someplace better because there's a better plan for me. And that is a lot of reducing the anxiety because I can spiral in my head as much as I want. But at the end of the day, what's going to happen is going to happen. And I want to believe it's all in my favor.
I say all the time, I can't wait to see how this turns out because like I feel like my story is changing every day. And just like you said, like when I wake up in the morning, I'm like, I wonder what's gonna happen today. Like something great's gonna happen today for sure. I don't know, it's just
Yeah.
wild. I just love
You have to
writing my
speak
own
it.
story, right?
Yeah, you have to speak it into existence, say it in your head, speak it out loud, like, "Wow, this was this thing really sucked, but oh my gosh, it led to this opportunity. Everything is always working out for me." And, like, the meditations, like, you can just go on YouTube and be like, "Morning meditation." Like, the positive words spoken to you in the morning makes so much difference, and, I was always a big complainer in my life. Oh, I would complain about this, complain about that, and now it's like I hear complaining from my friends, and I say, yeah, it's raining today. That's not great. But hey, we can't appreciate sunshine days without rainy days. So if we never had the rain, we would never know how good we have it. Let's appreciate the rain. Like, I will say stuff like that. And sometimes they roll their eyes like you're being too
Oh, I'm with
positive.
you.
But
I'm with you. Yeah, right. I'm sure we can be annoying when we say that kind of stuff, but like yesterday it was raining on my front. I was on the front porch doing some computer stuff. Started to rain, so I was starting to get a little wet. So I just moved to the back porch and just enjoyed the heck out of the afternoon. Like it's
yeah.
the rain hitting the metal roof on the back porch, just so soothing. I was thankful for the rain.
Exactly, gratitude. A
Gratitude for
lot of the
sure.
healing is about gratitude, writing down 5 things you're grateful for every day, saying them in your head. I have a what's going right list on my phone in the notes app. Everything that's been going right over the last year, I write it down. See, this is proof. This is proof everything is going right in my life. Because if you wake up and you dwell on the negative or you talk about the negative, I'm not saying you can't vent. We all vent at some
Sure.
point. But you wake up and say, God, I hate my job. There's one person I really do care about online, but they're always posting, I hate everything. I hate everything I'm doing. And I've tried to help them, but until you help yourself and turn around your narrative, your life's not going to change. Like if you wake up every day and say, I hate this, you're going to hate it for forevermore. If
Yep.
you wake up every day and say, I don't really like doing this, but universe, show me what else I can do. Show me what else is working in my favor. How can I turn this around so I have an amazing day? And every time you ask your brain questions, your brain tries to answer them. So continually asking the question, how good can it get? What are you bringing me now? How is this going to work in my favor? Your brain looks for confirmation of all that versus complaining. Your brain just stays in a low vibration. You have to get into that higher vibration to really find the life in your life's purpose.
Yep, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just about wrapped up here. We got about 2 minutes
Okay.
left to go. Is there anything that you wanted to share that we didn't have like work into the conversation today?
I feel like I talked a lot about it, a lot about everything, but, kids is the whole different part of it. It's so hard, and for me, I have 2 autistic kids, so it's different. I don't think they fully understand, but they do sense that mom is sick, so I just give shout out to people who are going through it with kids too, especially neurotypical kids understanding what's happening, and, it's just hard. It's hard, and I am an advocate for therapy. I think everyone in the world could use therapy, and the therapist could use therapists. Like,
Yeah,
we should all
yeah,
be we should all be with a professional, like, a lot of insurances cover it. I even added on a life coach this year because it took a lot of body work with the life coach, like, resolving things from early childhood in my body. Because I believe in the book, The Body Keeps the Score. Like, I believe I got cancer because I was so immensely stressed. I was not honoring my life's purpose. Not This is just my story for me. I'm not saying that's why anybody else got cancer. For my
sure.
story for me, I didn't honor how much stress I was under. I didn't ask for help, and my body just went sideways with it and took it to the extreme. There's no reason at 37 years old I should have had this huge colorectal tumor, but I feel like a lot of my healing is just listening to my intuition, following, what my gut says, if I'm supposed to do something, not supposed to do something, just really like being in tune with myself and my body is so much part of my recovery.
Lauren, I am so glad we did this podcast. This is exactly what I needed to hear today. So thank you for sharing your
Yeah.
story. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Before we go, let me see your tattoo on your right arm. What's it
Oh,
say?
I have a lot. I have a lot, but
Let, I'm
this
sorry.
is
Let me see
this
the other
started
one. The other one is the
this
one that I
started
want to
after
see.
cancer.
Yep,
This started after cancer because I realized you can't hurt me. You can't hurt me anymore physically. So this says "Hold On for One More Day,"
that's right.
which is a Wilson Phillips song, and I got it before I went back and found out I had stage 4 the next day. I got it downtown on Broadway in Nashville. It has a date 8/25/25 because I went through some very very bad very, very bad custody situation, unfortunately, last year. And that's the day that everything resolved in my favor. So that day is very important. But yeah, I got tattoos on both arms, the back of my neck, my ankle. Like, it's been a coping mechanism
I just
because I'm
love
not
that
afraid.
one. Hold on for one more day,
Yeah,
right? Let's just
hold
get
on
through
for
the.
one day.
Look, if you're having a bad day today, hold on for one more day, right? Tomorrow will be
I
better.
say it so many times. Whatever's happening to you, please just hold on for one more day because your life can change in an hour. It can change in a
Yeah.
moment. And
Yep.
we won't know how good our life can get unless we just hold on every day. Just hold on one more day and it's going to change. It's going to change in your favor. We just have to stick in there.
Yep. Absolutely. Lauren, this has been great. Hey, it was great meeting you. Don't hang up
You
yet, but
too.
I'm gonna end
Okay.
it now. Thanks. So, how great was that? We didn't really get into her personal life that much, but like I know by watching her Facebook videos, like what she's going through at home. She's got 3 kids at home. I believe 2 of them are autistic. So I mean that's rough in itself. And then she's doing maintenance chemo just like I am. So every 2 weeks going through the same medications, the same side effects that I go through every 2 weeks. So I know how difficult that can be. But like to look at her, like how great does she look and like how positive she is. Especially like going from hey, I'm probably gonna die, or making her funeral arrangements, buying the urn, setting all that up to where she is now. Like that's just amazing. So happy for her for sure. She said some really cool things here at the end that I really want to implement in my life. The what's going right list. I love that. I remember like a year or two ago, like my daughter was on like one of those kicks where she would write something down every day, like on a little post-it note, and then put it in a jar. And then at the end of the year, she would just go ahead and read them, all the things she was thankful for throughout the year. So pretty impressive stuff there. Also the meditation thing. I've tried it before. I struggle with it. I haven't been able to do it. The praying I'm great with. I can pray for, whatever, however long it takes every morning, 15, 20 minutes sometimes. But the meditation part, I tend to like lose focus. I want to get better at that. I think there's something to that. All right, guys. Hey, I appreciate all of you. Appreciate you guys in the chats, Susan, Neil. Shauna, see that you're back online. Can't wait to hear an update from you at some point. All right, guys, that's it for now. I will see you all next week. Well, saying that, this week I recorded three episodes this week. So like the next two guests, like they're locked in and ready to go. They've got some awesome stories to share as well. I can't wait to share those. After that, I'm pretty wide open. I don't have anything else scheduled. So if you are interested in sharing your story, my email address is somewhere on my YouTube. It's emlerbill@gmail.com. Hook me up, or not hook me up, but look me up. All right, guys, I'll talk to you then. Thank you. Have a great night.